Bob Andelman, and you're listening to and hopefully watching the Mr. Media interview with Corey Michael Blake, CEO of Roundtable Companies and publisher of graphic novel editions of business classics from The Art of War to The Long Tail. Corey, we were talking during the break, and I know you've got a special offer coming up to kind of introduce people to your product online. Is that right?
That's correct. People can go to roundtablecompanies.com or smartercomics.com, and they can actually check out the majority of these graphic novels at no cost for the next about 83 days. So it started April 1st, and they'll be available for 90 days. So we believe that there's a huge market here, and it's, of course, important that we expose people to it. So it's kind of our gift to introduce people to what we're doing.
It sounds like a real good idea to do that. And it fit into something I wanted to ask you about, because I imagine that the market for something like this might be a bit limited at first, particularly getting over prejudices against comics and educational comics at that.
It's definitely got its challenges, but we've every step of the way we feel like we've had a number of miracles that have that have gone in our favor. Certainly, getting people like Chris Anderson, Larry Wingett, Tom Hopkins aboard was a miracle unto itself. Getting permission from the publishers to give us their blessing to go ahead and do it has been incredible. The printed books will be available at Hudson News Airport bookstores starting May 1st, which is a huge market and billboard for us. And then, of course, through chain and independent bookstores, Indigo Canada signed on. So people are coming aboard. Barnes & Noble to date is kind of taking a wait-and-see approach, which, of course, doesn't make me that happy. But I understand because it's a new concept, when you're dealing with large corporations, it's just the way that they work. Some of them will take the risk and dive in, and others will kind of sit back. We are starting to get some really great responses from comic book stores, really a lot of enthusiasm and curiosity. We've sent out to probably 250 stores free samples that they can check out, let the owners see it, let them show it to their customer base, and we're starting to get pre-orders trickling in now, which is awesome.
Corey, how many copies do you have to sell per title to feel like you're going to succeed at this? Or can you talk about that?
Oh, sure. I mean, our initial goal, we've done our print runs are about 10,000 of each. So that, moving those will be a clear indicator that there is a market for these. And so far in pre-sales, we're doing great. We're over half that already. So, and we don't officially launch until the 16th of April here. So we're doing great in that regard. I think, ultimately, in order to be a profitable venture, we're looking to move about 30,000 of each. And we have a number of different channels to push those into. Obviously, the comic book market, the trade market. Hudson News is a great player for us. These are the kind of books that hopefully corporations are going to grab. They're great training pieces if you want to inspire leaders within your company, or even gift. I could certainly see a prominent banking institution buying a number of How to Master the Art of Selling and giving them away to new business checking clients. Like that kind of, this is a really fun giveaway for the right kind of company as a marketing tool.
Well, that kind of feeds into what I was going to ask you. I'm wondering, I mean, is this product intended for the crowd at Comic-Con in San Diego, or is this intended for, I don't know, the freshman class at Harvard?
You know what? Our hope is certainly that it's for both. We recognize that the comic book market is its own breed that we really have to work hard to cater to. Like I said, we're getting a lot of fair attention for it. We're getting some good media in the comic book world, and we're getting the curiosity of the owners of the retail shops. But at the same time, these are not escape books. These aren't pure entertainment that you run away with. This is using entertainment to inform, educate, and inspire. So it's certainly not going to be for everybody. But our hope is that we drive, the anywhere from 25 to 55-year-old guy who used to love comic books as a kid, but for some reason or other just hasn't gone back to the comic book shop. This gives them a different kind of a reason to. So we're certainly hoping to drive new traffic to comic book stores.
And tell me about the way you run your company. Is it more the art of war or the long tail?
That's funny. It's kind of a combination of both. You certainly can't be all art of war these days. We're a very friendly company. We believe in inspirational core values, and we believe in like the story I told you earlier about going to my team and saying, what do you want to do that we're not doing? And that led to this wonderful new venture that we're on when our creative director said, get us into comic books. So we believe in supporting the people who work within our organization and their ideas, and it gives them ownership. Our creative director is having a blast working on these. It's changed his quality of life because he's enjoying the process so much. So we work very much from the standpoint of take care of your people and they'll take care of your product.
Hmm. Speaking of the product, how do you balance converting business texts, not textbooks, but business narratives to comics format and not making the resultant product look, a little dopey or cheap? And how important in that is choosing the right artist to make the adaptation?
I think it's hugely important. For every artist that we've ended up hiring, we've probably talked with or tested out maybe 20 different people. And it's not just about their talent; it's also about their ability as business people. We need people who communicate well, who are expedient, who can meet deadlines. And we've started off as a writing company. We faced the same kind of challenges when we were working with writers. Whenever you're working with creative people. There are always, there are always your flakes, and there are always people who may be incredibly talented, but just make you pull your hair out for one reason or another. And so we really work hard to test our people. Now, we don't necessarily have the budgets to hire somebody who's going to cost a fortune because they've got a huge resume. So we go out and we find really talented people who haven't been discovered yet, who've probably worked in the industry, like Shane Clester, who did 4 of these first 6 books. He's worked for IDW, he's worked for Hasbro and Scholastic, but he hasn't really been launched on this kind of a stage yet. He needed the right opportunity. So we're super excited to be introducing him. Same thing with Nathan Luth. He's got some good track record resume pieces, but he hasn't been recognized on a larger scale. He did Overachievement, and we've actually hired both of those gentlemen as full-time staff artists for us now. So it is about finding great talent, but also finding great people who draw well. We also work with comic book script writers. We hire people within the industry to handle the conversion process from this academic text over to the comic book style.
You talking about arts. We talked in the first segment about how Chris Anderson, the editor of Wired and the author of The Long Tail, was a comics fan. So, Larry Wingett, who's not necessarily a comics fan, but who's got an adaptation in your line, he may not say, "Oh, I have this artist in mind for this." But Chris Anderson, if he says, "Yeah, I'd like to have you do this, but I want Jim Lee to draw it," I mean, how do you how do you do with
We
that?
have yet to come across anything like that. People have been pretty open from the artistic standpoint. I'm sure as the series expands and becomes more popular, and other people start to mirror it, we'll have interesting challenges that we have to face like that. And in some cases, maybe it's completely appropriate for us to bring in, a different kind of talent, whether it's just to produce a specific cover or to produce an entire book. Where there's no doors we can't open here if we have the right kind of project.
So maybe there might be a book where, say, Sergio Aragonés might be appropriate for a certain tone.
It's absolutely possible. It's just relative to kind of to what the author's mission is and what's the best approach to getting it out there, certainly in a cost-effective way so that it can be a profitable venture. But we're actually working right now with the former head of development with Jim Henson Productions, a guy named Joseph LaFavi, who's a blast to work with, and we're actually trying to create a Hollywood series of comic books.
Hmm.
So he's got all these guys who have contributed to works that he's been involved in. They've launched all the Fraggle Rock, graphic novels and comic books, and so he's got this fantastic stable of artists too. So we're opening up and gaining more access into the comic book world, which is awesome.
Very cool. Well, folks, listen, you can find roundtables, Smarter Comics titles such as The Long Tail, The Art of War, and Shut Up, Stop Whining, and Get a Life at great bookstores everywhere, or you can order them right now at a great price at MrMedia.com. And you can learn more about Smarter Comics at their website, SmarterComics.com. Corey, sounds like an interesting project, and we really appreciate you joining us on Mr. Media today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
My pleasure. And folks, for more original interviews with a lot of great comics and graphic novel creators, you can surf over to our main website, mrmedia.com, mrmedia.com. If you've enjoyed today's show, subscribe for free to Mr. Media via email, RSS, or iTunes, and you'll never miss a show. You can also listen, as they do in Chicago, with a piece of string and a tin can in many locations. And show your support of Mr. Media by supporting our sponsors, including Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/radio. Again, that's audibletrial.com/radio for your free audiobook. We're also supported by thepartyauthority.us. Call DJ Ira for all your party entertainment needs nationwide at 1-800-DIAL-DJs or visit their website, thepartyauthority.us. If you've got an idea for a guest, a comment on today's show, or would like to advertise on Mr. Media yourself, email me directly at bob@mrmedia.com. You can also follow Mr. Media on Facebook, Twitter, or our new YouTube video channel. Thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate you sharing a piece of your day with Mr. Media. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Bye, everybody.